Hi, and welcome to the High Ground Podcast. I'm CBW.
And I am Callum.
Okay, today we're going to be discussing Superman.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeves. Is he the definitive Superman?
Yes.
So I've actually done something. We do this. If you listen to the High Ground Podcast from the start, we've really progressed from being really structured and everything. And I'd write notes on the introductions. For once, I've actually wrote an introduction for this one.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Most impressive.
Yeah, thank you. And we don't usually do this. But from 1978 to 1987, Christopher Reeve played Superman, Kal-El, Clark Kent through 4 big screen adventures of varying degrees of quality and success, starting with the Richard Donner original. So what was and is so special about Christopher Reeve that makes him the definitive and, to quote the original film poster, believe a man can fly? So what is it about Christopher Reeve that no one can replicate?
Well, I was thinking about. I watched this this morning as well, just to sort of like get it fresh before doing this, and I was thinking about it a couple of days as well in advance. It's quite hard to explain because I said to you as well about Batman. It doesn't feel the same. Like I mean, Michael, as you know from our 10-minute about Batman, but I still think Michael Keaton's the best Batman and Bruce Wayne, but with Batman, you can kind of, this isn't a pun, but you can kind of wing it if if the actors, I don't know, it's weird because I think, like, there is a definitive Batman for me and you, but
Definitely.
Batman's a role you can sort of, there are others where you can say, yeah, they were pretty good, it was just the film that was bad, you know, like, I had no problem with Ben Affleck, I thought he was a great Batman, it was just the films were awful. I didn't even know George Clooney, not nowhere near a bad actor, you know. It's just that film didn't know what the hell it was doing.
This is why. This is why Superman works a lot.
Yeah, ironically, but with Christopher Reeve, there are no other and never will be any other actors that can play Superman for me, and that's kaput. That is final. If I ever see one that's good, I will admit, that they were pretty good, but no one's ever going to be Superman except Christopher Reeve. And it's weird, like, I don't really have a concrete reason. There are factors, like, I mean, he's the charisma he has, like, the fun those films have, the first two especially, they're, like, say what you want about them, they're like Star Wars, they're fun, they're so fun, and they're colourful, and you remember everything, but it's just something about Christopher Reeve, there's nothing evil that comes off the guy, or nothing bad, like, he embodies him so well, that there is no other Superman. Like, there's been so many, and no one's even made me bat an eyelid.
I was thinking, when it comes to when it comes to cinema, I mean, you've got we're talking recent history since '78. You've got Brandon Ruth and Henry Cavill have also played him, and on TV you had Dean Cain. I think it was Tom Welling from Smallville.
Yeah, Tom Welling. Yeah.
And Jerry O'Connell did it in the recent Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman.
Oh, the
animated ones.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, Dean Cain to me from Lois and Clark was a great.
Yeah, I like Dean Cain. Yeah.
For the TV, because it took a different approach to the look of the character, which at first, because he wasn't what I define as a Superman.
No.
In terms of it, and when you realise Superman's an alien, he can look whatever they want him to look like, and I thought he was good for TV. Brandon Ruth was he was lumbered with the fact that he tried to make him they tried to do Superman Returns as a sequel to Superman 2. That was lumbered with a terrible script. There's one thing doing an interpretation of a role, of a character, and it didn't work because that script was terrible. He could have been a fantastic Superman, and
I mean, I never had a problem with Brandon Routh either, but I think that might have been stemming from the fact that he was sort of maybe just trying to be Christopher Reeve, because that was like a whole love letter to the Donner stuff, wasn't it?
They used the
music.
Didn't
work very. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing the trailer for that and thinking, oh my god, this looks out of this world. Like, this looks amazing. You know, like the end bit where it's got Marlon Brando's voice saying, like, there are good people, Kal-El, they wish to be, like, blah, 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 blah. And then he just sort of flies down to earth. I thought, wow, that looks amazing. And then you watch it and you think, I've just seen the best bits in the trailer. What?
The only moment that actually stood out for me is the bit where Superman returns and he actually is rescuing Lois.
Yeah.
And and the plane goes down and
yeah. See, that's
and
a great sequence.
The music kicks in, the traditional Superman music. That is because it is pure Dick Donner.
Yeah.
Superman, but I think the Henry Cavill the version of Superman that failed because it doesn't have that upbeat score.
No, it's too dark.
Yeah, and it was Superman is a bright, colourful world. You do not put Superman in Batman's world.
No.
You can bring Batman over, but you never put Superman and do Superman as a Batman.
No, it's not a shred of humour in those films, is there? I mean, I remember seeing Man of Steel annoyed me more because there was moments of greatness in it as well. Like at the beginning, the opening's fantastic. Like I love the opening. Like the war on Krypton and stuff. That was like something you'd always wanted to see because they didn't have the budget, obviously, in the original. You wanted to see what Zod did, and I also think Michael Shannon's an amazing General Zod. Yeah. Just to put it out there, but that was that opening. I was sort of pumped because I was thinking, yes, this is amazing. This looks like the sort of like atmosphere they could do, and then the whole film was just so drudgingly like downbeat. There wasn't a smile to be seen, and it's just like Henry Cavill. Yeah, I know he's got like big abs. Just get on with it. Like Christopher Reeve wasn't like that. Like you could tell he was a big guy, like a big body. Like I think he bodybuilded, but
yeah, for the role, yeah.
But he was so like, when he's pretending to be Clark, there was no Clark in it. That's what brought it sort of down to the whole. I don't really know what's going on that's wrong here. And when like the first time you see, you don't see Christopher Reeve for like 40 minutes, do you, in the original? But as soon as you do see him, like. He lightens the whole thing up, pretending to be this bumbling guy that, really knows what he's doing, kind of thing. And you're with him all the way because he's us, Clark, isn't he?
He's the ultimate good guy.
Yeah.
He's safe. Not safe as in a safe film. I mean, he's the hero. He's the definitive. Yeah. He's the definitive hero, and it's Superman's is the perfect origin. It's the perfect origin
the 78
story.
One, definitely.
Yeah. And the point where Christopher Reeve actually comes in as as Superman and as Clark Kent.
Yeah.
You believe.
You
as I said before, you believe a man can fly.
A man can fly, yeah.
And you believe he is Superman, and I know in today's society the goody superhero is old, but I like him, and you can watch Superman even in Superman 3 and of course Quest for Peace, which
we have a soft spot for that one,
Quest
don't
for Peace, which we will go into, but Quest for Peace is the reason why it made me want to actually read Superman comics. And that's what a good film should do. It should make you want to go and
look at the source material.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do have such an incredible soft spot for the character. So when anybody calls me a Marvel fanboy, my introduction to comics and to the superhero genre was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on TV, and first books I read were Marvel, and then Superman. So to me, and I've always said Spider-Man and Superman are gateway characters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of this whole like the purely good character is boring thing, because I've said to you before, haven't I, that I'm in my honest opinion, I think Superman could be quite a boring character because he is so good and there's no there's not a lot of conflict. The thing is, because he's so invincible, there's not a lot of things that can kill him. So the things they have to think up become a bit ridiculous, if I'm honest. And then, I think I fall into that whole sort of wellspring of saying, like, yeah, Batman's cool. Like, Batman's the dark guy. He's the one that could be a murderer if you wanted him to be. But then you really think about it, you don't want a hero to be a murderer. Like, I mean, something like The Punisher, that's, like, taking it way to the extreme because, like, obviously what happened to Frank Castle was horrible. But he just handles it that way because that's how he thinks. And Batman handles it the way he handles it because that's the darkness he's had in his life. But Superman didn't know the darkness of Krypton being destroyed, or his father and mother being like, he's never met them. He's only known the kindness of Ma and Pa Kent, hasn't he? So, I think I fell into that whole sort of the good characters are boring thing, because society sort of doesn't drum it into you, but you think like I also thought Captain America was a bit boring. Captain America's like the Marvel analog to Superman, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's I just goes on to say that that I've said for quite some time, is that the superheroes you like are the ones you would like to be.
Yeah.
They are the extension of who you would like to be, who you think you are. And for a lot of people want to be cool like your Wolverines, your Batmans.
Yeah. But you wouldn't actually want to be that, would
but
you?
They are the ones you relate to because they're the ones who you would like to see yourself as in that mythology.
Ideally.
In that mythology.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always gravitated to the ones that have got the moral code that will always do what's right. That's why I put Punisher more in line with Superman and Captain America, because Captain America is my favourite character in the MCU.
Yeah.
Because they have the moral core, they have to do right. Punisher does it to the next levels, which he shouldn't.
Yeah, he punishes, doesn't he? Yeah.
But deep down, they're just consumed by doing what's right, even if the mindset of, say, like Frank Castle, the Punisher, is the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I like Captain America, like the same reason I like Superman, is because deep down, their actions are guided by what is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You don't kill. You always do the right thing and be the hero, and that's the thing. And growing up with Christopher Reeve Superman, he was the goody hero that always did right no matter what. And if you look, I mean, I've always said that and I noticed this yesterday when I was watching, because I watching a documentary and I watched bits of Superman. You look at his eyes, his blue eyes. It goes like the same with Batman. It's the whole thing with the eyes, like with Batman Returns with Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer looking at each other at the dance. But you look at Christopher Reeve's eyes as Superman when he's chatting to Lois Lane, and it's just like he's
pure like I always think like Superman is always seems very sort of settled as for being a hero. Like he wants to be there to save us and help us, and he is Jesus, isn't he, basically? Yeah. But like whereas Batman always has sort of troubled and pained eyes, doesn't he? But I mean, it is sad that I probably will change that opinion that he's a quote unquote boring character, but because I've changed my opinion on Captain America, I think by the end of the MCU Infinity arc, he's one of the best characters. The only thing you want him to be is happy with Peg. Is it Peggy?
Peggy.
Yeah. And it's the same with like, I think I sort of feel ashamed at myself. Why am I thinking being happy is boring? Why am I thinking the good guy is boring? It's the same like thing that people have with the whole Roddenberry utopia thing, isn't it? Oh, Star Trek's boring because everyone's happy. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Like,
I think when with all the crap that's been going on in the world in the last few months, the first thing I actually thought of entertainment was Star Trek. Why can't we have this world? Why can't we have the Gene Roddenberry world? And everybody looks to the negative. Why can't we have the positive? And
we love like the dark, depressing things, don't we?
Yeah.
In media for some reason. I mean,
peace doesn't sell.
No. I mean, like to quote Nick Kershaw, wouldn't it be nice? That is
good. Wouldn't it be good?
Yeah. I know he made a disaster out of that. But it would be good to have that world and these superheroes in it to help us out. Because I mean, watching it today, I didn't realise how many Jesus analogues there were. When Jor-El says like,
Father becomes the son.
The son becomes father, and I'm sending you my only son, to help him. Well, that's like,
It's proved. That's Tom Mankiewicz. I know other people did it, but Tom Mankiewicz did the rewrite and was
wrote Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah. And he's the creative consultant. May he rest in peace as well.
Yeah, I forgot he was. I thought he was still alive, and then I checked.
It's.
There's quite a lot of people that rewrote that, wasn't there? Was it Mario Puzo did the?
He did the draft
originally.
He did the original, yeah.
Apparently, if you've ever read that draft, it's like completely different.
Yeah.
It's campy and
very like the Adam West.
Yeah, like apparently there was a scene where he meets Kojak.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, I think Gene Hackman's campy enough in this
I
film.
love Gene
I do
Hackman.
like him, but I mean, I just think like that would have just drove it over the edge. Like,
We're going to touch on this one later, but well, a bit later in this. But I just want to say, to me, if I was doing my dream Superman movie, Gene Hackman was always going to be Lex Luthor.
really?
To me, he is Lex Luthor. I think he's got the scope to actually be able to play a different version, just like Judi Dench's with.
Yeah.
M.
Oh, you mean like if they did it now? Yeah.
He would
that
always
could work,
be
yeah.
my Lex Luthor.
And he can actually be bold now.
Yeah. It's one thing that that hit me, and this is just this is not me for a start. I can't remember where I got it from, but if you're using this in any thesis or as a degree or anything for essays, so I've read somewhere that whereas most superheroes,
Yeah.
they put on the costume.
Yeah,
Whereas
I know what you're gonna say.
Superman
Yeah.
Is
Bill says it in Kill Bill, doesn't he?
is that it?
Yeah.
Where Superman is actually plays Clark Kent.
Kent's the alter ego. Yeah.
So it's and a lot of times when you look at it, it's like you go, well, he was a good Superman, but he was a rubbish Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Oh, he played Clark Kent brilliantly, but I didn't believe him as Superman.
Like they do with Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You go like, oh, I like so and so as Batman, but crap at Bruce Wayne. Yeah.
It should be an extension. And the thing with Christopher Reeves is he takes that whole character.
Yeah.
This is Superman Kal-El.
Yeah.
Playing Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And that's why it works, and that's why I think a lot of them, some of the lines are kind of blurred.
Yeah.
Between you don't do enough to actually say, well, this is Clark Kent, this is Superman.
Yeah.
He takes the glasses off, it's like it's the same person, but Christopher Reeves gets this, and he actually, Clark Kent and Superman could be different people.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
You believe it. It's the same with, I suppose, to a lesser level, Michael Keaton in Batman. Now we always go back to the original '89 one, where Bruce Wayne is with Vicky Vale and Joker comes in and he suddenly flips, and I think that's pure brilliance where Bruce Wayne becomes Batman out of costume in terms of how he reacts from being, and and that's the thing about the performances, and Christopher Reeves gets it more than pretty much.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Any.
I think what I was thinking earlier watching it was, the scene where he takes Lois Lane on the flight.
Yeah, the one with the dialogue.
Can you read my mind? Yeah. Well, the scene when he comes back and he drops her off and he flies off, and then you hear Clark at the door immediately saying like, Lois, and I think like they did it with projection because they couldn't have obviously had him at the same time. But it's just that brilliance of knowing like Christopher Reeve was the only one that made you think like, come on guys, you're in on the joke, like come and watch like how I do it. And none of the other ones, like Henry Cavill, like there is no, like I said, there's no Clark Kent in Man of Steel. Like I mean, you get the flashbacks when he's a kid and Jonathan Kent's basically telling him to let people die, which is stupid. But like there's no, with this one, and you said it really well as well, that it's a perfect 3-act, like colour scheme wise as well, like
I stole that from a documentary.
No, but like it is, because you go to the Smallville sequences, and even just seeing like the brief sort of segment you get there when he's a teenager, like it builds perfectly into when you see Christopher Reeve fly off into the camera, and you think like now Superman's here,
and you got the music,
and the music starts, and I it's that sort of like there is no line between him and Clark in that, because that is him playing both parts perfect. Like you say, you can mess up Batman but not mess up Bruce Wayne. I think Christian Bale's a good Batman, I just think he's a terrible Bruce Wayne. Whereas we say Michael Keaton, he's the same thing. He flits between being one character and then being the next, but they're still related. I think like the way he sort of, you can tell when he's Bruce Wayne, he hates being Bruce Wayne. Like he hates all these parties, and he loves being by himself, and he's always stuck in his own mind, I think. and then you see the other Bruce Waynes, and they're all like, yeah, parties, and then immediately like, oh, I'm so sad, like brooding, and you just think it's more like a parody of Batman than it is anything else. Whereas you see, like Reeve just sort of slips in and out of these roles, like perfectly. Like, and it's just I've never seen a Superman after him where I've thought, oh, he's getting close to rivaling him. You know, like there is no comparison really.
I completely agree on that, but I think with the cinematic ones, the problem is that Henry Cavill was lumbered in a film that was way too dark, and it really, you know, you should be, you know. I go back to the whole thing with music. There's an emotional connection. You hear anything that John Williams scored.
Oh, and you can name what it is.
Yeah. And you associate that with Christopher Reeve and the Richard Donners, but and this is the thing that really annoyed me is in Batman vs Superman, the bit when Superman dies.
Yeah.
If you have not seen Batman vs Superman, I apologise. I should have said spoilers, but spoilers now.
Well, if you don't know he dies, then what rock have you been?
Yeah, exactly. I read the original comic book when it came out.
Yeah, I have since. I think
it's brilliant, and I remember welling up when I read the book.
It's emotional stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and with the Death of Superman film they released recently, I got emotional at that because I love for the character. But when Superman, when they killed Superman off in Batman vs Superman, and they put Superman's body into Lois's arms just so that they could capture a panel from the comic book, it annoyed me because it's not how it happened.
No, Superman
died in Lois Lane. Well, before he gets comes back, he dies in Lois Lane's arms. That should have been. They should have had Justice League out before they even attempted to do that story.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that you have an emotional investment in the character, and then kill Superman off.
Yeah.
So it was like
it had no time to breathe, did it? No. It was like, I mean, the comic would have failed if they'd just shoved his death into the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
With no build up, because like Doomsday is wrecking the place throughout that whole storyline, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, God, this guy might win, like,
yeah.
And then he does. And I mean, well, he dies as well, doesn't he? But like, you just think, like, that there's real tension. Whereas when you watch it in Justice League, there was no build up to it. It's not Justice League, is it? Sorry, it's Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
But I mean, why is it even in that film? Like, that every time I watch that film, I think there's two films in here.
Yeah.
That need to be separated.
And the big one was about a 40-minute tag on with Doomsday and the Doomsday
Wonder
creation
Woman.
And all that. Was,
like, why is Wonder Woman in it? I mean, fine setting up Diana Prince, that's fine, but and then giving her movie, and then Justice League, and then Doomsday. But it's just, I mean, we even came up with a hypothetical, like, DC cinematic universe, didn't we, of all the films that should have maybe happened before. And
we'll have to podcast
we will, but it's just, I mean, I think that whole thing's dead now, isn't it? Are they not?
No, they keep going. Again, they're doing Flashpoint, and they're doing the news. They're doing the news. They're always going to churn them out. So
yeah,
but it's crazy.
It's just that, I mean, if you know something's not working, I don't understand. Like, the money can't be rolling in that much, can it? Surely.
But it's prestige. They want Marvel money.
We can't be doing because Marvel will win.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish Disney would just buy Warner Brothers and be done with it.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't that be good?
But the thing is, it's when Superman came out, there was no. That was it. That was a superhero film. That was your superhero film for a few years.
We owe them all to that existence, don't we?
And you look at that 78, and then you got 89 for Batman. And of course you got the 3 Superman sequels, and of course Supergirl, and you got varying degrees of success.
I forgot about Supergirl. I forgot about Supergirl.
And you got the TV stuff, but your big ones was 78, 89, then
2000, maybe 98
2000
for Blade.
Yeah,
I think Blade kind of was like a little kick-off, wasn't it? But I think with Blade, a lot of people were they were still ashamed of saying it was based on a comic, because I mean, I didn't even know it was based on a comic, and I'm sure that the credit is really small saying it's based on Marvel.
But the thing is, it got people in the cinema to see a superhero film. And if you went back to 1990, well, the early 90s, well, um, let's Tim Burton messing up because he couldn't sell enough Happy Meals in a bloody good film. Which Batman Returns, brilliant film. I just want to point that out now. This is not going to be negative towards it. I think it's got some of the best scenes.
No, I think Batman Returns is the best of the Burton two.
Yeah.
Easily.
And if you'd said after Batman Returns came out, the next one is going to be Batman vs Superman, Christopher Reeves and Michael Keaton, yeah,
I'd have been interested. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yes.
Tim Burton doing that.
Yes. But when this is, like I said, I don't want to disrespect Ben Affleck. I think he was a great.
Yeah, I do as well.
But
or Batfleck.
Yeah, it was just mishandled.
Yeah, it was terribly mishandled.
Superman is Christopher Reeves is our Superman, and the score. I mean, we've mentioned it before, but that is so important to the film.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
It's like you say, you do think of Christopher Reeve and the John Williams score,
just like you do with Indiana Jones.
Oh yes,
it's the same thing, isn't it?
Oh yes, and it's just so perfect. I mean, the other thing I noticed when I was watching stuff is, look at Christopher Reeve's got third billing after the title.
Yeah, I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, Superman, Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
And that's okay. To actually have an unknown nowadays, it'd be like, they still do it. Marvel still do it.
Yeah.
But DC seemingly more. We have to get someone that we can actually
market.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they did with Batman and Robin, where Arnie's name comes first, and then George Clooney's like third or something.
But then again, that's.
Do you know what I noticed as well on Superman? What at the beginning, when the credit sequence with the writing and that, the first three names, the big names, they come at you, and then the rest of the names recede. And I never noticed that before. I don't know, like probably just like the design of it all.
Yeah.
It was just, I just thought, was that subliminal? Or
we have Marlon Brando.
Yeah,
we have
he was a psychotic, like phone-in performance guy. But actually, speaking of Marlon Brando, I think in this film he actually does put in quite a good performance as Jor-El. Like, there are a lot of films towards when he was older where a lot of people knew he was thinking like, fuck this shit, I'm just getting paid. Mm-hmm. And like, if you read behind the scenes and that, I don't know if you know, but he suggested having Jor-El be a green bagel to Richard Donner, and because Richard Donner was like, fuck you talking about, that's where he was like, oh, that was a test, I was just seeing if you were going to say yes or no, you're the guy. Yeah. And like, well, why is this actor guy like deciding who the director is? Like, he's only in it for 10 minutes, but he's such a marketable name, isn't he? And apparently I would imagine he made like a fortune.
Yeah, they only had him for a certain period of
10
time.
minutes that he was in it.
But isn't that the reason why they cut him from the Richard Lester Superman 2? Because
he wanted residuals.
Yeah,
because Susanna Yorker's in it instead, isn't she? And then I think they reintroduced him in the Donner cut, didn't they?
In the Donner cut.
And Returns as well, obviously.
Yep, because he was like, yep, that's where it is.
See, Jor-El's another character that like you sort of need a bigger actor to play him, sort of pass the torch. See, I think like Terrence Stamp plays him in Smallville, but he only has a voice, disembodied voice, and it's kind of cool because you think it's odd. But I liked Russell Crowe as well in Man of Steel. I thought he was quite good. Like I don't not rate Russell Crowe. I just think
he's good in The Nice Guys. I like The Nice Guys.
Yeah, I love The Nice Guys. But I mean, I thought I was quite impressed with him as Jor-El. I thought he was really good. But yeah, that's a role as well that can make or break it, I think.
Definitely. You mentioned Terrence Stamp.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to Superman 2,
yeah.
Son of Jor-El, kneel before Zod.
Yeah.
He is superb. I mean,
who is this imbecile?
Yeah, I really say, can we just? I want to clarify. We're going to go when we're talking about Superman 2. As far as I'm concerned, we're talking about not the Richard Lester, Salkins being Dick's version. We're talking about the Dick Donner cut.
Even when I was a kid, though, I liked Superman 2 a bit more because it was the actiony one. But like when you see the Donner cut, it's like a totally different. Like you think this is how it should have been. Like,
the thing is with the Dick Donner cuts, I know they used the scenes that they can get around. They used screen tests.
Yeah, and like I think some of the Gene Hackman stuff is like body doubles, isn't it? Because he isn't actually in the second one technically. I didn't know this, that because they filmed them simultaneously. He sort of like pissed off after the film was finished. So any scenes where he's turned around or you don't see him. It's a body double or a voice actor, which I didn't know.
I read, and I hope I'm right on this. They said you can fact check afterwards. 75%, didn't Dick Donner do 75% of it?
It's around that, yeah.
And so that Richard Lester could get the credit, because the Salkinds are arses, they had to basically get Richard Lester to redo other stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
so
Richard Lester kind of isn't a dick, totally though, because
it's not his fault.
No, like in the first one, I think while they were making the first one, he was going to get fired as well, and he sort of stepped in to take over a couple of scenes to help him out, and he didn't take credit for it. So, I mean, kudos for him for that. And apparently he was like a mediator because they weren't even talking at one point.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, it's weird though because Superman 1 and 2, they're really successful films, but they had way troubled productions as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Usually when we're talking about troubled productions, they're films that don't do so well box office. You know, like I'm talking things like Alien 3 and what else is there? Troubled production wise, you know, say like Cleopatra, things like famously had bad like production.
Fantastic
Blade Runner.
Fantastic Four, was that bad one?
The
the new version.
The new one, yeah. Blade Runner. Things like that. Like you like the documentaries are great about those films, but
New Mutants that hasn't came out yet.
New Mutants. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that this is a film that did really well that had one, because usually they don't, do they? But
they'd have gone in. This is the time where super visual effects, modern day visual effects, were still in their infancy.
Yeah, definitely.
And to actually pull it off of a man flying, which you actually believe, like I've said it a few times now, but
no, but that is like that slogan is so great because you actually do believe it. You know, if the special effects had failed, then it's kind of along the same lines as A New Hope, isn't it? Like if the special effect, if ILM had failed in that, we wouldn't be talking about Star Wars anymore. But same with Superman. Like I mean, the whole thing hinges on believing that Christopher Reeve can fly, and it's incredible that it's still projection work and wires, and you know, you watch the making and you think, wow, is that what it looked like? Like, because it looks fantastic still to this day.
You compare it to, say, Superman 4, where the budget was cut and they ended up draining the money. Salkins licensed it to Canon.
Yeah.
And they ended up using the money that they had for Superman and bleeding it into Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, which failed anyway.
Exactly. And then you look at the flying shots, which are all repeated, and it's terrible blue screen. Isn't it from Superman 2 or something? Some of them,
it's one of them, isn't
it? It's awful. I mean, I have such a soft spot for Superman 4.
I do, yeah. It's like a guilty pleasure, isn't it?
It is, it really is. And we were discussing the other day that 4 is better than 3 with the exception of the bad Superman bit.
Yeah, that's another thing that frustrates. That's why 3 frustrates me as well. It's the same as Man of Steel. There's moments of like where you think, oh, that would have been great, like if the story had been about that. But then they just do their own. And yeah, like you've hit it right on the head because it is a Richard Pryor promotion vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah. I read years ago that he was on a talk. Richard Pryor was on a talk show, and he started doing the whole Superman speech.
Yeah, you can see a clip of it where he says like, "Oh, I'd love to be in a Superman movie."
There you are. Big Richard Pryor will get people into the audience. Will get people into the cinemas. But it's not. It's Superman should always be the star.
Yeah, of course you should. Yeah.
And he should not be second fiddle just to a comedy.
No, and like I was saying to you as well about the opening sequence. You've summed up immediately in that film how like different the tone is. You know, like all the slapstick stuff happening and the music's all like sort of silly cartoon sounds in it and that, and you think, what is going on here? Like, I mean, I'm not knocking Ken Thorne because Ken Thorne's a great composer. I mean, John Williams even said in part 2, like, you have my blessing to use my music, like, because he suggested it. So it's not his fault again, like music wise. It's just. It's one of, the Salkinds are dicks. I agree. Like they're just so selfish with like this property that's not even theirs.
I think Richard Donner got it.
Yeah, of course
he got it, and Tom Mankiewicz as well.
Yeah,
they got it, and they got the perfect. They got the perfect cast.
Yeah,
and you did need the perfect Superman.
Yeah, and chemistry is what it's all about in those films, isn't it?
And when Superman's got that kryptonite around his neck, you should feel for him. You should be that, and you should be Superman. You shouldn't be like thinking, "Oh, Superman's gonna get out of this." You have to have that emotional connection with the character. I mean,
Yeah.
watching it now, I you know, they made Christopher Reeve, rest in peace, Margot Kidder, and as
Yeah.
well, and you know, it's uh, thinking that they're no longer with us and everything, and then you know, just listening to the bit where Superman saves Lois for the first time, and
Yeah.
everything starts kicking in with
Yeah.
him with Kal-El Clark being, you know,
Who he's meant to be. Yeah.
yeah,
Where he
being
catches the
Superman.
helicopter as
Yeah.
well. You know, like in the music, it's just.
You got me, who's got you?
Yeah.
It's so brilliant. It's
Yeah.
not like this is the big strong superhero. Look at him, all
Yeah.
his muscles. This is, look at all how good we can do with our special. This is Superman. You don't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be thinking, "Oh, this is a visual effect." You should be thinking, "This is Superman."
This man's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything he does, and everything, and like Lex Luthor, of course, and you know, Zod, not in so much in Superman, but in Superman 2.
Yeah.
But he's menacing
He is. Yeah.
with Ursula and
Non.
Non, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's everything that is perfection.
I mean, the only criticism I would have about Superman 2 is probably Lex Luthor's kind of not needed in it, because he becomes this comedy relief character, doesn't he? Because Zod is like this new guy who's like, wow, he's way scarier than Lex Luthor. Like, how the hell are they going to get out of this? And I just find like Gene Hackman doesn't really have much to do in the second one. Like, he's sort of bumbling around following Zod, isn't he? And you know, I know it's clever that they use like Superman uses his own deceptiveness against him at the end about the booth that takes your powers away. But I mean, it's just I know what you mean. Do you know as well something I did want to bring up? It's random, but do you know one of the weird things that happens in the original cut of the second one? And I think they've parodied it on Family Guy in many forums, where he chucks that huge plastic S. Like, what is that all about?
I have no idea. Where did he get it
Someone
from?
was smoking crack when that happened.
Was one of Richard Lester's edits?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, as well as the sort of rape kiss that they do as well. But I don't know. It's just weird. Although that has been done in the comics.
Yeah.
Most people, a lot of fans apparently complain because it wasn't in the comics. But there is like subtle moments where, like, so does he have mind control or doesn't he? Like, it's. And I know everyone moans about the flying around the world thing, but it's. I always think of that film when I think of reversing.
But in that was the original ending, and they actually did tack it on to Superman, the Dick Donner cut.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't came up with the ending yet.
No.
When they were doing.
To make her forget. Kind of.
Yeah. So they had to. So if you haven't seen the Richard Donner cut, the Richard Donner cut is they literally do reuse.
Oh, it's
stuff.
like a whole different film, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, even just the start is great. Like when they do the recap.
Yeah.
And it's more focused on Zod. You know, instead of that silly Paris scene you get in the original. I just think it's so much better edited, and then they have like pretty much a repeat of the opening sequence again with John Williams' music again, and you just think, yeah, this is what should have came out.
For years, my fiance wouldn't, you know, because we just got under 11 years difference between the two of us, and she wouldn't. For some reason, Superman was never on her radar.
Yeah.
So when we eventually said, that's it, we're getting the box set, because I really wanted it for some time, and I found it at a price because it's always been really expensive.
Yeah.
So we sat down and watched them, and I said to her, I'm going to show you the Richard Donner cut, not the. So she's never seen the theatrical cut.
I haven't for years.
I don't. It doesn't appeal
I've
to
sort
me.
of Star Wars special editioned it now.
Yeah.
I don't watch.
Yeah. It's. I like. You know, it's a brilliant movie. I said to her, this is a screen test, so that's why it looks like that. So she couldn't say, well, why has he got the same ending as Superman? But she enjoyed him better than she saw it because she grew up with her generation was Lois and Clark.
Yes, I think mine probably was as well, but because my dad had showed me Superman, like he was always my Superman as well. Like when it's handed down, I count it as the same sort of thing if it's the first thing you saw before the new stuff.
For Batman, my introduction to Batman was Alan West.
Oh right, yeah, I see what you mean.
But
Sorry,
it's to me. I mean, I've always, and this is where I go to cinema. I will never. I never go into a Superman film wanting to go. This is not going to be as good.
No.
As I go into a Superman film as I want to see a Superman film. I will go. Doesn't matter how bad it is. I will always go to the cinema and see a Superman film, no matter what the reviews are. I will go and sit through it because I want to see a good Superman film, and that's the reason why when they did the animated. Because I usually don't buy the animated things, but
some of them are really good as well. The
they are.
DC animated ones.
I wanted to see how they dealt with the death of Superman. So I saw it, God, I was like, wow. But I had to buy Reign of the Supermen as well.
Yeah.
I mean, these are comics that I've read. And I was like, wow. I thought it was brilliant. So, when you don't give me a character, or you can do an interpretation of a character, but you know, I'm not going to sit here and slate Zack Snyder because I think Zack Snyder had to make a studio.
Or Henry Cavill.
But it's not the Superman. It wasn't true to the character.
No. Because
the studio wanted Batman.
Yeah. They wanted Nolan.
Yeah. They can't get Nolan, and I think that I remember when Zack Snyder was announced as Superman, it was the same time around Sucker Punch came out. And I was thinking, Zack Snyder takes that color palette, puts it to Superman, does a completely out there Superman film. Wow. Then I was like, oh my god, he did a studio. It was like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Studio film.
It was just, and like, it's one of those sort of, is something wrong with the brightness? Films, you know, like AVP2. Like, you just think something's wrong here, and everything just has to be grey now. Like, and that's the thing. Like we said earlier, you know, like the Christopher Reeve Superman, like the colours are, like you can see him in the middle of the screen wherever he is. I think his suit sort of dulls a little bit on special effects shots because obviously it would have bled, wouldn't it? But like you look at that and then you look at Man of Steel and like none of the suits have ever looked. I've never jumped out at me and I've thought, wow, that suit looks good on him. Like they just look great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they look. I mean, the armor thing's cool on like Zod because he's a soldier. Yeah. So it would make sense he would still have his armor, but yeah, when they make it and they give it like a 6-pack and stuff, like the bat nipple thing, it's basically the same thing, isn't it? Like
the fact that the S is not cloth.
No.
And it all looks like it's all tailored.
Like
whereas
perfectly.
It looks like. Or a Superman suit, like they did in the, if I'm right, it's been a while since I watched Lois and Clark. It looks like something Martha whipped up for him.
Yeah,
and that's how
which
it should
is more
be.
Believable. Yeah, because I mean, isn't it in some? Well, there's been so many reboots, doesn't there, in the comics as well? But isn't it supposed to be like the blanket he was wrapped in? Yeah. And she made his suit from that, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you get some where it's like the suit's already packed in a little case or whatever, and you think, well, there's no impact then, is there? Because the reason it means so much is because his. You know, his Earth Mother has had something to do with it more than his.
And you know, I redid this one for this podcast. We did a lot. We did research and everything. So we do it for all of them, but this one is. I think we can both. I can say for both of us. This has been a very personal one.
Yeah, it's quite. It's, I mean, like you have to stress and repeat, like we have already, that there is no MCU without this film.
No,
this is literally ground zero for like superhero films. Like, I mean, even just the beginning, you know, the 1938 scene, where it's like, you know, you show someone that today, they might be like, oh, that's a bit weird, but like, it is so, the tone is set in the tone, you know, like this is what the Daily Planet does, like they deal with truth and all that sort of stuff, and then you see the comic book being opened, and like that. I'd love to see that in an MCU film, like just to see them try that or something, you know.
But they did something similar when they actually do the original Marvel openings with the comic book flicking.
I suppose that is.
It's all continuation, and I mean, for me, you look at I know Bryan Singer's definitely a fan of it. Is you look at X-Men, the original X-Men, that is definite continuation on of an origin story that was used the template of.
Yeah. And I mean, like we've said many times that it's the best origin story ever done. You know, like, and it sort of baffles me that it's only been done a few times on film. I think, hasn't it? Like, I mean, you look at Spider-Man. How he gets rebooted and there's an like you literally. I could recite in my sleep how Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So if there's any film series that, like MCU have done, where he was just already Spider-Man, it should be him. You know, but. You know, Superman, you kind of... I think, because like, it was the original superhero origin story, you know, and it's basically Moses, isn't it?
Yeah.
Put in a basket and sent down the river to be brought up by another, you know, race. It's the same sort of thing. I mean, there's a story on one of the, if you've got the Batman Blu-ray sets as well, yeah, just pointing to them now. There's a documentary on there about like Batman and the history of Batman, and it's really good actually. Mark Hamill narrates it, and there's a scene where, not a scene. There's a part where one of the producers called a guy called Michael Uslan, and he's sort of like the creative consultant whenever there's a Batman film, and he was one of the first guys to start a university syllabus on comic book heroes and the history of comics, and like the amount of time he struggled, you know, with college professors and stuff saying, oh, what you want to talk about, like funny books and books that, you know, kids like, and he was like, well, we discuss children's literature, so why shouldn't we discuss comic books? You know, it's an art, it's a valid art form. And one of them actually did listen to him and says, well, if you can convince me why that's a good thing to start a subject on, then you can have the course. And he was like, so tell me why comic books are not just, you know, quote unquote trash. And he was like, well, tell me the story of Superman. And the guy goes, oh, well, yeah, I used to read Superman when I was a kid, so, you know, Superman's sent from his planet because it's about to be destroyed, and a little ship comes to Earth and gets raised by people on Earth. He says, okay, now tell me the story of Moses. And he was like, oh, so Moses is about to be killed by the Egyptians, and he's sent in a little basket. And he says, and he just stopped and he went, yeah, your course is accredited. Like, because I think with Superman, like, that mythology is so ingrained into culture. You know, it's like Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know how Luke got his lightsaber, you know how Darth Vader became Darth Vader, you know how Superman came to Earth, and you don't need to show that. I think that's just so synonymous with the character that you don't need to be shown it every single time. I mean, Batman's guilty for that as well, isn't he? How many times have you seen Martha and Thomas Wayne be killed, and you think, I know this.
I will give the MCU some credit for this. They just forgot the origin story of Spider-Man. You've seen it so many times.
But yeah, flinging him in, it worked. Like,
exactly.
You don't need to see how he became Spider-Man because you know.
Exactly. Okay, I've got a question for you. So you a few questions.
Yeah.
Before
shoot.
Lex Luthor, Lex Luthor, Superman's ultimate nemesis. Why do you think that is? Why do you think what's the appeal of a Lex Luthor?
I think because it's weird, but he's kind of like an evil Batman, isn't he? Like, he's a billionaire, like, but he's a genius as well. And I like a fact that comic books do sort of make out that to be effective, you do have to be quite clever, you know, because Superman's not dumb. Like, he is a brute, but a brute as in strength. He's not like a sort of, what's that? He's not like a Juggernaut style character, you know. He knows what he's doing. So you need someone equally as, because Lex Luthor can't fight him like hand to hand. He'd be flattened in a second, wouldn't he? But so he has to use what he does have, which is his brain. I think that's why he's so popular. It's like Batman, isn't it? Like, Batman has a plan to take down the Justice League if they ever turn rogue. Like, whereas in reality, you think Batman would probably get crushed in a second by Superman, wouldn't he?
Exactly.
But it's because he's clever and he's using his like detective skills. You know, it kind of makes it a bit more believable. You think he does have this ultimate weapon, because Batman's technically not a superhero, is he? Because he's human. So he has to use what he has. I think that's the appeal of Lex Luthor as well.
I think, I know this one we differ on, is that I think Gene Hackman for me is Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah, no, I don't not like him. I just think I think they missed a little bit a treat by making him. I think he feels a bit campy still. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of the, like the stuff with Otis and Miss Tessmacher. I think that's probably where a lot of new viewers would think, oh god, this is well old. Like, like the Steens Underground and stuff. Like, I still laugh at them, but but of course you also get that great quote from him, don't you, about the War and Peace and the bubblegum rappers.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
But I mean, no, I think he's good. I just think, I don't know. I think maybe Kevin Spacey or Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville, he was fantastic as Lex Luthor.
I've always said that I'd like to, I'd love to see Gene Hackman doing it, or like Judi Dench did with in James Bond. Do a different take on the character. I think that would be
definitely.
I mean, that would be. Just...
I think because he was there first, he's sort of got. You kind of think, you compare them to Gene Hackman as well, a little bit every subsequent Lex Luthor, don't you? I mean, Jesse Eisenberg's not even worth mentioning, really.
No, but then again, I just want to say studio film.
Yeah.
I can't knock Zack Snyder because he obviously wanted to do the character,
Yeah.
and sometimes you have to take the bullet, so to speak,
Yeah.
to actually to do the thing you want. You want to do the film, try and do as much as you can within studio control, because Zack Snyder's films, you can tell, were studio products. The agenda of what they wanted.
It's so sad because like you start with like Dawn of the Dead, the remake, and
Watchmen.
things like 300, yeah, Watchmen and that, and they're so like he has such a singular vision for how things look. I just think he has a problem. Like he's great at doing beats, but I think he struggles with scenes. Zack Snyder, I think he can't do something long term. Like his films are great 1-2 punches, for their color palettes and stuff. I think he's a fantastic director visually.
I loved Watchmen.
Watchmen's great. That's probably the best superhero film in a long time, actually.
Definitely. I mean, Richard Donner. Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
1 through 4.
The Omen as well.
Yeah, but I love Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
I am
and
a
the
huge
Goonies.
Lethal Weapon fan.
Goonies as
Goonies.
well.
Not what I've overwatched that in the 80s.
No.
But yeah, it's a great family film.
Yeah. Whenever he touches something, he hasn't done many bad films.
Plus, he puts a message, even though it's not exactly out there, like in every film he does. So I think that's brilliant.
He is.
You know what? Look, especially you can see it if some of the stuff is subtle, like animal rights and backgrounds of posters, gun control. He actually, and I think Richard Donner's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and he's always got like a good sense of humour in his films as well, hasn't he? Like, I mean, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, they're just great together. And even in the Superman films, there's that, Clark quite whimsical, isn't he? Like when he's sort of bumbling around pretending to be like, we've all acted like that around girls, haven't we? And like sometimes you don't know whether he is really bumbling or whether he's like, I love the little knowing moments where she's sort of got her back turned and he's like smirking. Like, it was me earlier. But
he's
it's
great.
Just Donna's great. I can't say a bad word against him.
You know, I actually wrote down 7 questions. We kind of already done them, but I really want to point on. If you think about it, now modern day cinema and the audiences, we're talking about a film that's 42 years old now.
Yeah.
And now, if you're young and you're talking, it's just be like when we were young, our parents or us trying to go into films that was done 40 years prior, which you wouldn't think about doing because you're like, boring.
Yeah.
But why is today, after 42 years, and Star Wars has the same effect, but bigger because they've done so many films. But we're not talking about with Superman and Christopher Reeve. We're talking about from 78 to 87 in a 9-year period. They did 4 films, 2 which are regarded as great. Why is it that we still gravitate now after all these years, and why we cannot make a decent?
I just don't think. I've said it for years and years. I just don't think it's possible. I think it's kind of sad in a way that he's the only good Superman, because I would like to see like some because there's loads of good talent out there. Like I'd love to see it's like you said earlier. Like I want to go to the cinema and see a good Superman movie. Me too. I haven't seen one yet. Like not one where I've sort of went, wow, that blew me away. Like that's what's frustrating. Like moments of Superman Returns and Man of Steel, you're like, they had some great ideas in here. I keep saying the opening sequence on Krypton, like that's fantastic. Like seeing Zod's rebellion, and you think, wow, this is what we wanted to see years ago. And just even some moments where he's just the quiet moments where he's talking with his dad, like I know he's a hologram, but just like those sort of moments. Like the problem is it's like the cast as well. I think there's no chemistry. It's all about like, let's focus everything on Superman. Whereas in the Donner ones, you had Lex Luthor, you had Superman and his relationship with Lois. Even just like things like when he's with Jimmy Olsen and Perry White, it's just the funny scenes are good as well. And even like the start scenes when he's in Smallville, just with Mara and Pa Kent, they're great. Like you even got like Glenn Ford to play the dad. Like it's just like they don't have like, I thought Kevin Costner just fell on his ass doing that role.
I think he's more believable with family. It's all family.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Family and the extended family with his friends.
Yeah.
Even in Metropolis, and again goes back to, for me, emotional connection to the characters, and they're talking to each other, not
Yeah.
spewing sound bites at
Dialogue.
each other.
Yeah,
Whereas-
definitely.
Whereas I am, it's
Yeah,
believability. It's
Yeah.
the conversations like what we're doing now, rather than
Like,
us really off a script
reading out.
going,
Yeah.
or
Or looking at a line, on the forehead.
yeah,
I just think, like Man of Steel was full of that. Like, I think Amy Adams, and she's a fantastic actress.
Agreed.
She's an awful Lois Lane. So is Kate Bosworth as well. It's another thing, isn't it, where you're like, Margot Kidder is the only one as well. Like she's not even like amazingly, not in a rude way, but she's not traditionally pretty. But there's something about her where you just think she's Lois Lane, and there's no one else.
I liked Terry Hatcher as well, but
I,
in Lois and Clark, but that's a different.
yeah, she was quite good. Yeah,
But-
that's what I mean. Like you get moments of greatness. I think it probably would work more on TV. A good Superman. The good Supermans have been on TV. Tom Welland's good as like a teenage Superman, and although they did mess up the end of that, but I won't go into that. And Lois and Clark, like he's a good Superman.
He's brilliant Superman.
And apparently, like back in the day, George Reeves was a pretty good
Yeah.
Superman as well. But it's just, I don't know. It's one of those age-old $1,000,000 questions, isn't it? Like, why can't they do X, right?
Exactly.
I don't know.
But now,
I always think you can claw back Batman.
Yeah.
It's like, I tell you what else is another one. Why can they not make a good Terminator film? Like,
because Arnold Schwarzenegger is better at playing Terminator as an unstoppable killing machine rather
Exactly.
than the good guy.
yeah, why do they keep going for this Arnie as a good guy? Like, I want to see him as a bad guy again, because that was fantastic.
Well, we
It's
don't have to
just-
worry about it. We even have to worry about that for sometimes.
No,
Starfleet
yeah.
was one of the worst films I've ever seen.
I mean,
And I hate to say that.
yeah, I mean, well, we said last time, didn't we? If they did something like Halloween, where there was only a sequel to the first one where he was bad again,
That was good.
But then it's the same thing. Like, why can't they do X with that? It's just, I don't know. I just don't think there'll ever be a Superman where I'll be like, I feel like I'm watching Christopher Reeve again. Because I don't even know if that whimsical tone would work anymore.
No, not in today's
No.
society. Not in today's one, because they want it dark and they want it bigger, and
Yeah,
they don't
I
want
mean,
to do a small, big budget film.
no. I mean, the MCU is probably the closest to that tone, isn't it? Where there's always humour somewhere.
Ant-Man and Wasp.
And you need that humour, like, because it's a release valve, isn't it? I mean, even in something like Endgame, where the shit's hitting the fan, there's always like, even that moment at the end where Tony, spoilers, sorry, where Tony, sorry, but I don't think you need spoilers for that, do you?
No.
Where Tony Stark dies, he ends it by saying like the quote that ended the first ever film, as a kind of fuck you to fans,
Yeah.
like, I am Iron Man, and you like, part of you is like, yeah, fist pump,
Yeah.
like, isn't it? It's just.
Or on your left from the Falcon.
Yeah. I mean, I just like Justice League sort of fixed the whole humour thing, but they went the other way and put too much in. Like probably the best part about that film was the Flash humour stuff.
Ezra Miller. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of good, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. Seems like a mess at the moment, doesn't it?
Oh yes. I was a little shout of one film we barely touched on. I know it was terrible. And I know it was the story and everything did wrong, but I've got a bit. It's got a bit of a soft spot for me. Is Superman 4: Quest for Peace?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
that's
I agree,
the film.
yeah.
That's the film that came out, and it was around the same time it came out on video. Is when for a brief period, American comic books were available for pretty much a lot of news agents.
Yeah.
And that's where I started collecting the comics. So until I ran out of money at university.
Yeah, I can sympathise with that.
It's, and then when you realise it was filmed in Milton Keynes,
Yeah.
and you
is
can actually
up
watch
the road
it
from us.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It is, and I think it's sort of like, this is the testament to the film, even though it was like not one of the best films. Is one of the coolest moments was when we went to the actual train station,
Yeah.
just to see where they
Where they
filmed.
stood.
Yeah,
Where they just plonked a fire hydrant to
Yeah.
make it look American.
it's brilliant just knowing you're standing in Metropolis.
Yeah,
If you watch Superman 4, you can literally tell it's Milton Keynes. You go to things you can go.
it's
just
too
looks it.
green to be America, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's too sterile, and I think a lot of the films were made in England, weren't they? Was
Yeah.
it not Pinewood?
England and Canada.
Yeah.
Tax relief or something.
Yeah,
So,
it's always that, isn't it?
And 4 was a bit of it was done in Elstree.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because didn't Cannon used to own them?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah,
So,
I remember the first time I saw that. I was like, I think I was about 10. No, I was earlier than that. It was on ITV, and like my dad was always the one that introduced me to Superman, and he watched it with me, and he was like, "Oh, you might not like this one as much, son." Like, and by the end of it, I was like, "Oh, I don't know what's wrong with that. I quite like Nuclear Man and people breathing on the moon and stuff."
it's good because it is a children's film. Superman,
Yeah.
you know, but when you get older, you start realizing, well,
You know what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. But
I mean, I think it's quite incredible that the third one made quite a bit of money.
yeah,
I think the third one is terrible.
it is a terrible film. I can completely agree with you there. You know what? I think we can. I think we can safely say that. I hope you've liked this lively discussion about Superman, and
Yeah.
I think we did it well for not
Yeah.
being too much of
And
a.
I don't want to we don't want to end on a sort of bum
No.
note about
No.
there not being any Supermans or like Superman 3 is awful and that. It's just like it is a celebration of like how good how much of a great actor Christopher Reeve was. I mean,
Yeah.
check his other works out as well. I mean, like
Definitely.
he's always he seems like one of those guys that plays himself, but he is really good at other parts. You know, he there was a film, I can't remember what it's called now, but where he played like a sort of sinister character, and it's really weird seeing him be like a bad guy. It's like Christopher Lee being a good guy. You know, like
He should play. He
just-
should have played him more.
you just sort of like you associate Christopher Reeve with being just this all round cool guy that's just. I mean, and I assume in real life he was a nice guy as
Yeah.
well.
But to be known for, to be, it's like any time any actor, power actress, or someone passes away and they get known for essentially one role, but to touch so many people with that one
Yeah.
role, it's like someone. I think I mentioned before in podcast that when I think it's later Alan Rickman passed away,
Yeah.
people said, well, he's only remembered for one role.
Yeah, well, why is
the
that
amount
bad?
of people,
Yeah.
because the amount of people that one role touched.
Well, like Sean Connery's probably going to be only known for one role, isn't he?
Yeah.
But what a role to be remembered for.
Exactly, and
Or Mark Hamill or whatever, you know, like. I mean, look at Carrie Fisher, like
Yeah.
how much, like she really affected specifically us, didn't she?
Yeah.
Because that character was such a. It was a lot of firsts for me when I was a
Yeah.
kid. Princess Leia, she was my first crush. She was my first like female character that I really liked, and like when they touch you that much, yeah, there is that like connection. I was really sad when Christopher Reeve died.
same here.
I mean, there's a scene in Smallville actually where he's in it and Margaret Kidder's in it, and like Clark's sitting in the car with Margaret Kidder, and she's like this evil, not evil, but she like owns this business that's rivaling Lex's, and he mentions Christopher Reeve's name, who's like a physicist in it, and he's the one who tells him about Krypton, like passing the torch kind of thing. And she says, "Yeah, we were lovers once," and you think like, "Oh, well, like I'm welling up now," like. But yeah, it's just there's not much. What else can you say about him? It's just he is Superman, full stop.
Completely agree on that completely, and I would say it's been a really enjoyable podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
To actually record.
Yeah, I mean, we've wanted to do something on Superman for a while, haven't we?
Oh yes.
And we'll definitely do commentaries for each film. I think.
Definitely, I am up for that. So, check out the movie. If you haven't seen them, or if you even seen the Superman 3 or Superman
Watch
4.
them all, yeah.
And check. It's always good to check out the Richard Lester version of Superman 2 over the Dick Donner. Make your own opinion.
Yeah.
You might disagree with us. If you do, we're on social media.
That's fine, yeah.
Comments.
I mean, if you even think, if you like Henry Cavill more, we're not gonna hurt you very much.
No.
But no, but like it's your opinion, like, and like our opinion is just skewed because of how much we grew up with this character being played by this guy. You might like Henry Cavill more, or Tom Welling more, or whatever. Like, that's the beauty of freedom.
Exactly.
Truth and justice in the American way.
Exactly. This has been our podcast on Superman and Christopher Reeve. I'm Stevie W.
And I'm Callum.